Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras, and today is Monday, fun day, gun day.
I stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image of me that you're used to. I look money, a king bee making honey, see? Deep state, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round, I'm the new sheriff in town. All my people rise up and stand your ground. Now drink up all the Diet Coke you got on your shelf. So just let me introduce myself, my name is Trump D. I like my mashed potatoes lumpy. Fake news, oh how I like to punk thee. That little sniper on the slow tin, he took a shot but he missed me. I don't fall, y'all, I'm like the ever ready bunny. Still going strong and spunky. So put on your big boy pants. Come on, let's do the dance.
The Trumpy dance is your chance to do the Trump.
Come on, do the Trumpty Trump. Come on and do the Trumpty Trump. Check me out, y'all. We do the Trumpty Trump. Just watch me do the Trumpty Trump. Yeah. Do you know what I'm doing? We do the Trumpty Trump. Come on, everybody do the Trumpty Trump. It's time to do the Trumpty Trump. Yeah, my favorite
is a double Big Mac. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. So glad to have you here with me. Because as I told you before, for the next couple of weeks, it's just going to be us. It's going to be me. It's going to be you. It's going to be your comments and the news. Tons of good news going on. And by the way, if you guys like that song as kind of our Monday Fun Day song, because yes, it's pro-Trump, but I like it because it's a fun song. If you got another song that you'd like to nominate, that you'd like us to consider playing on Monday Fun Day, do me a favor. Go ahead and either DM us with it or go ahead and share it in the comments. Let us know what's up. Let us know what you think. And if we find it to be a cool Monday song, then we will go ahead and incorporate. And by the way, that goes for any other day of the week, whether it's Taco Tuesday, Throat Punch Thursday, Hump Day, Free for All Fridays, or Thank God It's Friday. If you got a theme song that you'd like us to give a try, do me a favor, let us know, and let us know why. Right? Make it real. We'll make it real simple for you. Either throw it to us in the comments. Probably, though, I'll be honest, the best way probably to do it is in the DM. Right? So hit us up there in the DM. Let us know. Let us know what's up. Let us know what you are thinking. All right, tons of interesting news because, when Donald Trump is president, there's rarely a moment where there's not a lot of news. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, we're going to do like we usually do. And we're going to kick it off with a shout out to our sponsors. And we're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Hitman Industries makes rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. In fact, chances are if you've bought an AR in the last few years, you already have one of their barrels. Why not get another one? So whether you're looking to do a brand new build or you're looking to rebarrel your old rifle, start your journey, start your experience, start your project with Hitman Industries. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all levels of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. They are, in fact, the largest and fastest growing conservative grassroots organization in the state of California. Yes, there are conservatives in California. Find out more about them at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. And figure out why you need to be a part of California's future. And if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then next we have the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at hogholsters.com. Not spelled the normal way. This time it's HAWG, holsters.com. That's helping Americans wear guns. Go there, check them out, and I promise you will find a holster that you like. And when you do, you need to save some money. How are you going to do that? By using the discount code that's right up there. It's all one word, no spaces, all one word, no spaces, all capital letters. Go there, do that. Buy your hog holster and save some money today at hogholsters.com. And then finally, if you're looking to buy some new tactical gear, you need to go to uscombatgear.com, where you will find all things tactical except the gun. They specialize in group sales. So if you're the buying agent for your department or for your unit, if you run your gun club, folks, you need to go there now. They have huge selection. They have a very, very competitive pricing, and they happen to have the best customer service available on the market. Get there, go to the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. That would be uscombatgear.com. And then finally, as I noted a little bit earlier, once again, we very much appreciate having your comments. We appreciate hearing from you. And I say that we want your comments because if you're watching this program from 3 p.m. weekday, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific to 6 p.m. Eastern, you're watching us live. This is a live feed, which means I'm looking at your comments right over here. And if I find them to be interesting, I will go ahead and share them. Even if you're just, telling us who you are and where you're watching us from. Maybe you're commenting on a specific topic that we're talking about, or maybe you have some tips for the show. Maybe you'd like us to do things a little bit better, a little bit differently. We love all that. Even if you're commenting on the things we're talking about, maybe you disagree with us. That's fine. We're okay with that because disagreement in particular is interesting because, well, that gives us the opportunity to mock you.
Oh, wow. Is that a mockingbird?
Man, is that a mockingbird? Is that a mockingbird?
And as Mike would say, we will mock you. Why? Because we can. Because we can. And that's okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's news topics. And we're going to start with one. And because Mike's not here, some of these, I just be honest with you, it might be a little bit more California focused. And one of the reasons why it might be California focused is because so many crazy things are happening, have happened, or are being exposed right here in California that, well, let's just say if we're going for entertainment factor, California wins for that very reason. Now, we all know that election fraud happens, and we all know the Democrats sit around and complain and claim that, well, no, it doesn't happen. Well, what it takes to show that it's happening is it takes for conservatives, it takes for us to actually go out of our way, because we know the people who govern, here's the problem. The people who are doing the cheating are connected, 3 degrees of separation to the people who are also investigating these things. The mainstream media, the political parties, the political party to be specific in California, because there's only one that really runs things in California. And the local regulators. There's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of degrees of separation between them. So we know that their investigation is not going to be complete. So what it takes someone to come in from outside the system to expose things. And that's one of the things I will always say, whether it was Project Veritas, which I haven't seen much from them since James O'Keefe left. Makes you wonder. But really, James O'Keefe Media now has been doing a lot more of this. And one of the things that he did was expose this particular Cash-for-Ballots election fraud scheme that was taking place on Skid Row of all places in Los Angeles, California. And here's a brief kind of the very beginning, which gives you a flavor for what's going on there in LA.
God, we're gonna give you $2. We just need 14 signatures.
The petitioner Brenda Brown hands cash money to the homeless person, not only for signing the California ballot initiative, but also as payment for them to register to vote.
Now, because you haven't registered, I need to register you so I can get paid too. I'm paying you guys, I need to get paid.
That is a federal felony. And it didn't just happen once, it happened over and over and over again. We personally witnessed and covertly filmed this happening at least 28 times over the span of our investigation, and that is just in Los Angeles. Many of the homeless have zero understanding of what it is that they're actually signing.
But what is that petition for? You know?
What's the petition for? I do not know.
The petitioners instruct the homeless to enter made-up addresses like Pinocchio Lane.
What do I put as my address? Yeah, just put up. You live on Pinocchio Lane?
Oh, you can just fake it.
Oh, good.
And all of this occurring just outside the front doors of shelters and NGOs such as Weingart Center, which have received hundreds of millions of dollars in government money. One Weingart employee tells us when and where to find the illegal cash exchanges for signatures outside, and says the cash being given out is coming from a higher source.
Do you know if they provide the money that they're handing out?
Yeah,
the company
that's what they do. When they give the money out, they got to go back and tally up if they stealing the money or not, so they gotta have signals. Most of them they be right across the street under that tree. You can check with them Monday through Friday.
While another Weingart employee advises the homeless on how to practice plausible deniability and ignorance of the law.
See, they say ignorance is no excuse for the law. But a lot of times I have to say I didn't know. I had no idea.
Oh, that would be what he should say.
He should say.
Yeah.
The petitioners orchestrate an elaborate pyramid scheme of unregistered petition circulators.
If I were to hire you, you would be under me.
Yes.
I'm under my son, I'm under him, and you under me. So it's like a pyramid game, and really, I don't need you, you need me. I don't need you.
One of the petitioners threatens to attack one of our journalists.
Go down the street, bro, before we move you down the street. I'll knock you out looking right at me. Bro, why are you trying to be like that, bro? Say I won't knock your ass out. Bitch ass nigga, don't come over here again. I'm gonna beat your ass.
And an employee of the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority records not the fraud, but the people exposing it.
That you on camera? Why are you filming? Why are you filming us? I'm with the LAPD.
You know it's a crime to say you're with the police when you're not.
No, I'm not with the LAPD.
Well, that's what you just said 2 minutes ago. Why did you lie?
As the NGOs pretended to be the police in order to intimidate us, I began to wonder whether we're still living in America. The Department of Justice has been...
So this is an article that was written by the folks over at the California Globe, and right here it says O'Keefe Media Group undercover investigation exposes Cash-for-Ballots election fraud scheme targeting homeless in LA's Skid Row. It says here, independent investigative journalist James O'Keefe and his team at O'Keefe Media Group have released explosive undercover footage documenting what appears to be widespread voter registration and petition fraud in Los Angeles's Skid Row, where homeless individuals are allegedly bribed with cash, cigarettes, and marijuana in exchange for signing voter registration forms and ballot petitions, often using fake addresses. The investigation, entitled California Elections Fraud, Cash-for-Ballots, Part 1, captured at least 28 instances of petitioners exchanging payments for signatures in just days of filming. Petition circulators openly admitted on camera that they are paid $7 to $10 per signature, with some boasting daily earnings exceeding $1,000. Many of the homeless signers appeared unaware of the petition's content or purpose. Quote, oh no, we already heard all that. The petitions are being circulated by workers for Populous Inc., a firm tied to funders including Uber, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and American Hotel and Lodging Association, including proposals to impose a 5% tax on billionaires for health care and to overturn Los Angeles' $30 minimum wage ordinance for hotel and airline workers ahead of the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics. One circulator was recorded telling a signer, "We have one that taxes billionaires 5%, one-time tax 5% that's going towards healthcare." Now, once again, the thing about this is that this stuff has always happened. We know that this has happened, and I don't understand why more has not been done to investigate things like this, because once again, these things undermine the process. They undermine the electoral process. But I know why they don't get investigated in places like California, because the very politicians and political organizations that should be doing the investigating benefit from it. That's all there really is to it. They literally benefit from it. And until you find a way to make it so that when they get caught, it's got to be an investigation. And then when they get caught, the price that they pay has to be so steep as to never, ever, ever make anyone want to do this again. Ever. I mean, to me, stealing elections, that's close to treason. I'm serious. Doing stuff like this, promoting stuff like this is akin to treason, because it's undermining our entire political system. I'm not saying that people should be hung for it, but I am saying that the penalties need to be steep, because there are people who are in elective office right now that probably have benefited from this and used systems like this, or had people use systems like this have had systems like this used on their behalf. There are laws that are in place, things that made it to the ballot that probably should have never been there, but because things like this were put in place, they made it to the ballot. Once again, they've undermined our political system. And if we can't have integrity, if we can't have faith, that's the real word. If we can't have faith in the integrity of our elections, then our whole political system crumbles. Our whole governance system crumbles when we can't have faith in elections. And sadly, we're finding more and more. And by the way, that's one of the reasons also why people don't want the investigations, because they don't want stuff like this revealed. Because if it gets revealed, then it undermines our confidence. Now, if there was a way in which things like this were revealed and the people were actually dealt with, I think that would increase our faith in the system. But the problem is we see stuff like this, we know stuff like this happens, and nothing is ever done, or rarely is it done. And you have people who then come and say, well, this, the 2020 election was the safest election we've ever had. 15 million people came out of nowhere and voted for president of the United States and then disappeared. Now, seemingly those 15 million people, those extra 15 million people, all voted for Joe Biden. I'm confused. So out of nowhere at one time during one election, I mean, we're talking 80 million people. I mean, the most that a Democrat had ever gotten before that was 65 million. We saw a slow climb of Democrat support, 60, 62, 65, 80 million. And then back down to 65 million. I'm just having a hard time putting my finger. That's just not making sense to me. No one can tell you where those votes were. And it all happened when we decided that we're going to just remove all backstops in terms of voting. We're not only is everybody going to vote by mail, we're going to remove all of the safeguards for when you do vote by mail, like verifying signatures. We're going to do that, right? We're just going to throw boxes out somewhere where someone can go and drop off their thing. We're unsupervised boxes sitting in the middle of nowhere where people can go and just drop off ballots, and they'll be safe. And then we hear reports of just, in the middle of the night, stopping counting and then restarting counting, and all of a sudden, one side was up and projected to win, and then all of a sudden, by some miracle, the other side all of a sudden had a bunch more votes from this one ballot, box that had been picked up, or from this flash drive that it just all of a sudden came out of nowhere and was turned in. And for some reason, all of the errors, if they were errors, all of the new trends tended to go one way, and that was to the left. Now, I'm not saying that there is clear and convincing evidence of voter fraud with the ballot boxes. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that to say that there are no questions, that there's no reason to even question what happened, that's a little unreasonable. That's a little far-fetched. And now we see, from these voter registration schemes, and I can tell you right now, this was already happening before. This was happening likely before COVID. And now it's been uncovered. And what will come of it? More than likely, nothing. How sad is that? I mean, is that sad or what? What will likely come of this is absolutely nothing. Anyway, in the comments, I just went ahead and shared a link to part 1. It's over there on YouTube over at O'Keefe Media. So if you're watching the show, you should be able to pull up the link there. Okay. So yeah, some of the links may not come through. But just so you know, if you go and you find the show, you'll be able to find the link to the O'Keefe Media special. But all I know is that for our form of government, for what we do to continue to work, we're going to need some help, and a big part of that help has got to come from having faith, being able to have faith in our electoral system. And let's be honest, things like this raise a question about whether or not that faith is justified. All right, moving right along. Now, the beginning of the weekend started with Donald Trump basically saying, look, all right, look, Iran, you got 48 hours. If you don't come to the table and we don't have some productive talks and put an end to some of this stuff, and you don't stop, we don't get the Strait of Hormuz open, it's going to go down. We're going to go after all of your energy facilities. We're going to just bomb the bejesus out of all of it. Well, early this morning, and I was planning to wake up this morning like, all right, is it on or is it on? Well, early this morning, Donald Trump put out another truth and decided to put a hold, or at least a 5-day hold, on bombing Iranian energy infrastructure. And this is an article over at the Washington Free Beacon. It says here, President Trump announced that we will postpone U.S. airstrikes on Iranian energy infrastructure while two sides engage in talks aimed at ending the ongoing military engagement, indicating later Monday morning that a very serious form of regime change is coming to Iran. And here's the exact truth that he sent out. I'm pleased to report that the United States of America and the country of Iran have had over the last 2 days very good and productive conversations regarding a complete and total resolution of our hostilities in the Middle East. Trump wrote in a Monday morning Truth Social post, quote, based on the tenor and tone of these in-depth, detailed, and constructive conversations, which will continue throughout the week, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. There's a copy of the truth right there. You can see that he sent. So, what does this mean? Well, one, it means exactly what it means. It means that we've had some productive talks, or at least he feels they've had some productive talks. Or it may be that that he realized that someone talked to him it may mean that someone talked to him over the weekend and convinced him that, yeah, I think that hitting their these energy reserves is a really, really, really bad idea. It's going to cause energy to go through the roof. Now, it could be that someone told him, make that announcement on Friday and then come back on Monday and withdraw it, and then you'll see energy prices come down. That's the thing with Donald Trump. You don't know what he's going to do next, and that's what makes him a difficult person to negotiate against, right? I'm not saying with, because the one thing is, if he says he's going to do something, chances are, if you force his hand, he's going to do it. But the one thing that you also know is that, you know, he is willing to he is willing to go as far as he's got to go. And in this particular case, what I'm believing is that by the way, it does turn out he was having negotiations. There was someone with whom he was having negotiations. Who was it here who he was talking with? Because what happened was, by the way, some of the folks in Iran said, well, we're not talking to anybody. Well, it turns out that someone, I think who was the head of their parliament, was the person that they wound up talking to. So they're talking to somebody. And hopefully what that means is, and by the way, they've got to kind of come out and say, we're not negotiating with anybody, because they've got to look tough in front of their people. I don't know why they feel they need to look tough in front of their people, because maybe they're afraid that if their people think they're not tough, then their people will throw them under the bus, or their people will overthrow them. I don't know. But it is what it is. I'll just leave it at that. This is going to be very, very interesting, to say the very least, when it comes down to where they, in the end, wind up on a lot of this stuff. But I do believe what he's trying to do is signal that the end of the war is going to be coming soon. In terms of, in particular, the hostilities, meaning I'm assuming that the main things that are going to be part of any discussions, you're going to substantially prove to us that you are done trying to get nuclear weapons and develop ballistic missiles. That's going to be number one. Number two is going to be you're going to open the Strait of Hormuz. That's got to happen. Oil has got to start flowing again. And then other stuff beyond that, including, by the way, not killing the people who protested against you. But though that's going to be number one and number two. You get those two things, and I think Donald Trump then declares victory. But that is pretty substantial, because it also undermines a lot of the rhetoric you're hearing from the left relating to trying to refer to this as a forever war. I've never believed this was going to be a forever war. I don't believe that this is going to be us, an example of quote unquote nation building. I believe that this is going to be us doing what we got to do to get in and get out. Anyway, that's where I believe we are at right now. He is using this week right here coming up, to finalize things. It's either going to be that, or then it's just, once again, the final. It's just it's just put the final smackdown on them and move on. All right, you hear a lot of people talk about how the founding fathers, if they had known we were going to have machine guns, they probably wouldn't have allowed they probably wouldn't have okayed that whole Second Amendment. They would have put restrictions on it. Well, not so fast. According to the folks over at the Telegraph, ancient machine gun was used by Romans in the attack to attack Pompeii. It says here, long before Pompeii was covered in ash and pumice during the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 A.D., the people of the doomed city were confronted a threat of a different kind. Nearly 170 years earlier, a resident of Pompeii was fighting for their the residents of Pompeii were fighting for their independence when the Roman army, led by General Lucius Cornelius Sulla, attacked the walled city and brought it under its control. But now Italian researchers said they had discovered that the Romans had a secret weapon, a polybolos, repeating catapult of Greek design, could launch metal-tipped projectiles at the enemy and knock opposing soldiers off the ramparts in rapid succession, with researchers likening it to an ancient form of machine gun. Researchers Adriana Rossi and Silvia Bertucci from the University of Campania, Luigi Vervitelli. I probably should have practiced that before I read it right here. Veronica and Casade from the University of Bologna found the unusual weapon was responsible for large circular craters found in the city walls. The research team recently published their findings in Heritage Magazine after 5 years of engineering research. And here's a photo you can see right there of what it looked like. It says your researchers were surprised to find archaeological evidence in the walls of the northern side of the city from 89 BC had miraculously survived Roman restorations, Second World War bombings, and natural disasters. So there you go. So for those of y'all who don't, here's the thing. And one of the things that I've learned, and I do not consider myself a firearms expert. I am not a firearms expert. I by any stretch of the imagination. I know firearms experts, and they will tell you Craig is no firearms expert. But I also know enough to know that repeating firearms, not only were they in existence at the time of the writing of the Second Amendment, but they were not new at the time of the writing of the Second Amendment. So for those who say, well, they didn't know, so they couldn't have imagined, yet no, they knew, and they knew because they didn't have to imagine. Those sorts of weapons were already in existence. Just to help y'all feel a little better, make y'all feel a little comfortable. So just understand that, no, your arguments about, well, they didn't know, that's not going to hold water. All right, that now brings us to our final story of the day. Partisanship makes us lower our standards for our side's claims. Now, this is, I changed this a little bit because I know for a fact that even as conservatives, sometimes we tend to do this. I don't, but I have had folks who do that. And this is from a link from a study that's one of, actually, it's quickly turning into one of my favorite sites to go and do research at. But it says here, partisan politics makes people lower their standards for their side's claims, not raise them for the other. In other words, because of the partisan politics, I'm saying that people tend to, when their side puts out claims, they tend to have a much lower set of standards than they do for the others. Now, I'm the exact opposite. I go and I check out, and it's something that I believe, that I like. I fact check it because I'm like, I don't want to be posting something that ain't true. Here it says here, two people can look at the same news story and walk away with opposite conclusions. Same article, same set of facts, same amount of time spent reading. Yeah, but they usually don't. They usually both don't read the same article. Anyway, one person calls it proof of a problem. The other calls it overblown. It happens at dinner tables, in group chats, and across social media feeds every single day. And it happens even when both people perfectly smart and well-informed. A common explanation for this kind of disagreement boils down to a knowledge gap. One side simply doesn't have the right facts. If only people consume better information, thinking goes, the bias will disappear. However, a new study published in Psychological Science suggests something different. When researchers at the University of Texas at Austin assigned people to completely random, meaningless teams and then asked them to evaluate true and false statements, participants showed a pattern of being more willing to accept claims that flattered their assigned group, whether those claims were true or false, even though random assignment meant no team entered the study with systematic group level differences in background knowledge. In the first experiment, participants assigned to one of two teams showed a statistically reliable bias for favoring their group, though the effect was lopsided in the way in which researchers later addressed. The results suggest that identity protection, not just a gap in what the group knew compared to the other, may play a role in shaping judgments. The finding is notable because it suggests a limitation in approaches to fighting misinformation that focuses exclusively on closing knowledge gaps. So, in other words, what they're trying to say here is you're more likely to believe something is not fake news if it comes from your side. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But I also know, and the more I investigate, the more I know is my side is as capable of posting fake news or putting out fake news and information as the other side. Now, the difference is when I go to the quote unquote trusted media sources, right? When I look at the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the ABCs and the CBSs, I find that the left tends to have much more biased information, or they tend to have much more biased information on the left than on the right. That doesn't mean that Fox News doesn't do it. It doesn't mean that OAN or Newsmax isn't guilty of that sometimes. Some of them are more guilty than others. Some of them are more likely to do it than others. Sometimes the difference just comes in the stories that they are reporting on. So even though the facts may not be different, the very fact that they're considering something else to be vitally important news, that in and of itself may make the difference. But I share that because, once again, I am someone who I do a lot to try and make sure that my bias, that I try to account for my bias when I'm looking into information, right? And I'm hoping and I'm encouraging you folks to do the same. I really would like to make sure that as we do this, as we have these conversations, that we're careful to make sure that we're covering our bases as well, that we're doing our best to make sure that we're providing good information, that we're basing our decisions on good information. And it always helps when you can go one or two layers past the news source, because you don't know the bias of the person who wrote it. You don't know the bias of the person who edited it. You can guess it based on the publication, but you don't know how far are they willing to go? How much information are they willing to leave out in order to get their agenda across? You don't know that. And there are unscrupulous people and lazy people, let's be on both sides. So I always, when I write an opinion piece, I always source it. I always do links through, I work hyperlinks, because I want people to know this is what I am basing this opinion on, this particular opinion on. These are the facts that are behind it. And I'm hoping y'all do that too. I really do. And by the way, I'm also hoping that you go and you investigate my stuff. If I tell you something and I base it on something, I'm hoping that you go and you take the time to, find out if I'm full of feces. Or if I'm just wrong. Or maybe there's other information out there that contradicts it. I'm okay, but if you find information that contradicts it, I am asking you right now, come tell me. Share it with me. Because if I'm wrong, I don't want to be wrong. I want to get the right information. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com, use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster today. We've got some interesting ones here. Chuck Norris passed away over the weekend, and or on Friday, early Friday morning, and so I figured I would just share this this tribute to Chuck Norris.
Did you guys hear about the time that Chuck Norris got bit by King Cobra?
Huh?
Are you here?
No.
Yeah. Tell me what happened.
Oh, man. I tell you, after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died.
That is an example of just one of the very memes that was done that really made, that really brought a resurgence back to Chuck Norris, and in particular on social media. And he was just, he is definitely a national treasure. But what I liked was his ability and his willingness to laugh at himself. And because these were again really, really funny jokes. Now, this one here, this guy's a guy who you would not necessarily expect to be an advocate for Muslims, but he makes here the case that Islamic faith might just be the most American religion that we have. And well, I'll let him make his point.
Everybody mad that Zorhan won because he's a Muslim, and people are like, that's not American to have a Muslim mayor. But what do the Muslims do? They tell their women to keep their mouths shut, and go to the kitchen, make some food, right? They have tons of kids, and they want to shoot gay people down. Sounds pretty American to me. That might be the most American religion we got.
Okay, he is a comedian, but he still makes a very, very funny point. Anyway, I'll let y'all wrestle with that one. Now here's another comedian talking about really making a solid point as to the fact that people like Kamala Harris, they want us to believe that she didn't get elected because she was a woman. Well, maybe she just wasn't the right woman candidate.
Kamala didn't win because she's a lady and we were not ready for a woman. But like India has elected a woman president. Pakistan has elected a woman president a couple times. Bangladesh has been purely run by women, basically for like 50 years. It's like, and these are people where
I don't know I would characterize them any kind of certain way, but
yeah,
I'm dying to hear yours.
I'll say this. Is a national sport over there. So the fact that they were able to get to a woman leader makes me think that maybe the women that we've put up here weren't good candidates. Do you think maybe that's a part of the thing?
He does definitely have a point. All right, now we got a few here from the Babylon Bee fake news that you can trust. And I like these because these are pretty consistent with current headlines. We all know that the media left is trying to convince us that we've already lost this war, right? In fact, according to Babylon Bee fake news you can trust, CNN calls war for Iran. Yep, not too far from the truth. Here's another one. Statue of Cesar Chavez gropes woman as it's being taken down. Ooh, too soon, too soon. Trump postpones Iran strike until they all assemble in one place again for a meeting. That there might be some truth to that one. I don't mean to be rude, but there might be some truth to that one. And then finally, TSA reduces delays by eliminating colonoscopy portion of search. Yeah, that would definitely speed things up a little bit. All right, folks. Well, hey, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do like we usually do and give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with folks over at Hitman Industries. Rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to sale to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. Think the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Learn more at cragop.org. Then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWGholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, we've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun, and that would be at uscombatgear.com. And now that is the final for today's program. Once again, we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Taco Tuesday. Till then, y'all have fun. Stay safe, and I will see you mañana.